Hello. I was just out and buying a pair of pants, a brand new pair of pants, and I don't do that very often, really. It was probably a year ago, on a discount or something. But when I do, I buy something that's good, that's lasting, that's quality, and I'm always amazed by consumerism. And any sane person realizes that consumerism is, bad. It's destroying the planet, it's wasting money. But on the other hand, it's giving jobs to people. And for us, we can say that some people are underpaid in Asia or something, but at least they have built up an economy, they have provided for their families by that, and the standards for them are increasing just as it increased for us here in the West hundred years ago and more. So this begs for the question, like, what is progress and what is stagnation? You see, this device I'm recording this with, it could never be developed and produced in a stagnated society. Like, for example, if you take a tribe somewhere in a jungle, they are at a stagnation. Of course, their lives are being ruined by foresting, and the modern world is creeping up on them. But let's just take them for an example. They are living a stagnated life, and stagnation doesn't have to be bad. I mean, they can be happy and everything is good, but they will never have factories, cell phones and all that. And this is not a video about we need cell phones or something like that. I'm just trying to say that things are inevitable. For example, in the city where people are just consuming and buying, all that money needs to be coming into the system to provide jobs and standards of living and all that. That's just a fact. Now, the distribution of money, it's a political question, but more or less all European countries are sort of the same. They have some sort of social standard. Even the US, I mean, all Western worlds, sorry, countries have some sort of security. Of course, there are crises and all that. And there are also black budgets that swallow money in big countries where the money goes to who knows what. Now, the thing is, we are at the crossroads. If we were to stagnate, for example, and just provide enough so our world would stagnate, and our current sort of production of energy and materials would create a catastrophe for the planet in the end. But for now, it seems to some people as the best option because we just need to get down the production. What we need to do is to focus on green alternatives to make smart inventions. It's like in the video I mentioned some maybe 2-3 videos ago about children. They are saying that if you want to be environmental friendly, don't have children, or just get one child. The thing is, the children are not the problem, it's the education of children. When I was in India, I was for a short time volunteering, teaching English, and I also taught them like how to throw things away. I mean, plastic, for example. They have been living in a rural society for a long time where you can just throw away the banana peel and the dumpling leftovers, and it will be eaten up by some cow, taken up by the earth and so on. And now they have plastic, so they are just throwing away the plastic. When you walk into a Swedish natural place, it's always clean, and over there it's full of plastic and junk. In most places where people are moving. So it's all about education, and this will take its toll on the earth, I think. We will reach some kind of a peak of destruction, of energy crisis, and so on and so on. But on the other hand, we have people like Elon Musk and other people who are trying to come up with something new, something more resourceful, while at the same time maintaining the sort of exponential way forward. And in the end, we will have to leave this planet if we want to survive and so on. And that's many years in the future. You know, we have been grown up with this sort of idea that within 10 years the polar bears will be sort of swimming onto our, you know, neighborhoods and so on. That's just not happening. That's the problem, because many people call for stagnation and call for resource use that would sort of eliminate the progress, because every new device, like if they want to build a machine that, you know, will swim around the ocean and sort of eat up the plastic, that need you know, you need money, you need to pay people, you need factories, you need precision engineering, you need all that. So all that money comes from consumerism, basically. Sort of like Elon Musk did. He made a premium car. Now he's trying to sort of get down in the end, create some, you know, Volkswagen, a folk vehicle, basically. So everyone can afford to drive on electricity. And we will need energy and electricity, and we need it so bad. With the nuclear situation, it's very outdated because no country has a plan for the final storage. Finland is the only country that's actively began to work on depositing the nuclear waste that will be on the ground for 200,000 years. And they are debating whether they should sort of just make it anonymous on the ground or have a marking or something. There's a good documentary on that, which is called Into Oblivion. I will get the right title and link to it below. And Sweden is like coming next to Finland, because in Sweden you have a mountain beneath our feet, basically, which is very stable, which doesn't move a lot, so the deposit would be safe there. And there is no other place. So Sweden could be like a future deposition site for wasted nuclear energy. And already now Sweden is so efficient in getting rid of junk plastic and recycling it that they are importing garbage from UK. So the thing is, it's like, you know, something on a personal level, emotional level. If you have a fear or some problem, you have to dive into it and come through the problem. It's the same for us as a humanity. We can't just back off and stay off. We have to sort of keep the development and keep consuming, in a sense, which sounds very awful, but when you look at it, I mean, for example, in Bosnia and Herzegovina, which is a country that's that has a less of manufacturing and all that due to wars. Yeah, it was reset, you know, 25 years ago. So anyway, when I'm there and when I see some new production going on and so on, I'm happy, because that brings stability, money, income, and eventually some progress. The same thing as Sweden. But here in Sweden there are many people who call for sort of stagnation and abolishment of those things, while at the same time using all this brand new technology. And you know, in the future we might have smartphones that are powered by the sun or something smart, but for that to happen we need to sort of consume. The companies need to have a surplus of money to develop that. And of course they are, you know, greedy, they are taking the money, but that's just the way it is. It's business as usual. There is no better way of doing it. North Korea hasn't developed anything like that, and the Soviet Union was always behind the United States in many areas. And so that's the paradox. And the thing is, all we need to sort of is push forward ideas which are innovation, and maybe change our lifestyles for the better. You know, I think it's a great thing to recycle. I buy many clothes at the second-hand store, especially like shirts and t-shirts, and you know, when I find something, but when I need pants, you know, it's kind of hard to find, or a good jacket that will last for years, then you go out and buy something, you know, pay for quality. But that's the thing, because I'm hearing so much of this sort of, people have all their luxury in their lives, and they are yet sort of eating and complaining about their actual standard of living, while we should be sort of even more focusing on teaching our children. And maybe instead of like reading the standard stories for them, maybe we should like have them more into sci-fi, more to science and ecology and all that, because it will be needed. And when we look at the situation of automatic intelligence, or so-called artificial intelligence, it probably will take over many jobs: taxi driving, maybe airplanes, trains, programming work, not only the manufacturing jobs, because the factory manufacturing jobs are already taken by robots. So it has reached its maximum. You need humans there to sort of supervise and keep the machines in place. So that's that, and that is why I am optimistic, because it's sad, but it's true that the necessity is the mother of invention, or something like that. And we have no choice. We are on this path. We are not living as a tribe, where everything is plus minus zero. We have expanded, and we need more and more to develop better and better. And if you look at the technology today, some people might say there are technologies being held back from the oil companies and all that. Of course, probably, maybe. But if you look at the cars today, if you look at the technology, electricity, how much electricity is needed, we are kind of on a good path anyway. I mean, people sometimes don't realize we are like 7 billion here, and in the future everyone will have a device, everyone will need a charger, people would like to have a dishwasher. So like Hans Rosling said, so mothers can be liberated and read and educate themselves and their children better. But we still need to hit that sort of critical peak, and it's been sort of over emphasized in a way that we have been having this sort of every 5 years is a doomsday of environmental crisis. But I'm optimistic, and perhaps even in the future we will find a way to sort of reuse the used nuclear waste and so on. And that's why people shouldn't feel bad when they're consuming. But there is, of course, sickness to it. When you do too much, you just use and waste. I understand that. But it's kind of like a pleb thing, like the masses are just there to make money for the companies and for the tax revenues. And in the current world, for example, in the United States, and now with the situation with Russia, we are sort of entering maybe a more militarized age again of Cold War, which might bring about some new good technologies for the public, but it's also a fear-based society which wastes a lot of money. The cliche, what if we didn't go into Iraq, Libya and all that? What if we just use that money to drop books on them, or just pay for education and so on? Maybe we wouldn't have this sort of Western decline where people are too much into relativistic social theories, but maybe we would have a more futuristic kind of green society, which I think would be amazing, because you have to combine money, ecology and human values and virtue. And for example, me, I was good at science in school, but I ended up on the sort of other path, basically. But everyone can do something to promote, to share, to discuss ideas, and educate our children so they become like inventors and strongholders of civilization, of goodness, of good intention, and so on. And So yeah, maybe it's kind of, one can frown on big sport events, or big music industry events, but still they're making money, there's so much involved. I remember listening to an interview from a band member of Grateful Dead, and in the 70s I think they were about to sort of just take a break and quit everything, but then he thought about, hey, now the bus driver will lose his job, and all the bus drivers, there were so many people who would lose their jobs and basically be without the safety net. So they continued, and maybe through that, music of theirs inspired people to do some mind experimenting and realize what's going on with themselves, and take trips during their music and come up with something better. Who knows? I can't remember if it was an artist or a businessman, but it was something about he employed his own, maybe it was Pink Floyd or something. Some artists did it. They were kicked out of the schedule or something, so they paid for their workers to have and arranged a new tour just to keep the machine going on, and all their profit sort of went to just keeping the people paid and providing for the service. So think about that. I mean, it's always easy to just sit with your high technology, your all comforts, take a bath and a shower, and then bash everything. But behind every drop of water in your home, behind every sort of second recorded here, there's a tremendous amount of capital being that was needed to be moved around to get that effect. And it's like energy, it's like a will, you have to direct it to something better. And I think in a sort of virtuous society, everyone is taking their part, their ability to do something for that direction, basically. So that was some thoughts. For us, stagnation or plus minus zero sort of society, it's gone. We would have to reset dramatically if we wanted that, and nobody wants that. And we are on a path, and we just need to probe and probe and probe through it. And every sort of peaceful society, everything we have today has been paid by blood, by misery, but also by invention and goodwill and movements and people just being responsible. So pick the best. It's always it's always easy to see the worst. Pick the best. Go with it. Be happy. And make something, say something, do something, act something that will make you proud in the end, and be a cog in the wheel, like a puzzle piece of the bigger picture of humanity, each and every one according to their abilities. Sort of some quick thoughts after buying a pair of pants in the city. So take care and all the best. Have a great Sunday. Ciao.